Platinum Games, one of the best developers on the Nintendo Switch in this past generation with the platform, developing incredible titles like Astral Chain, Bayonetta, The Wonderful 101, Nier Automata, and more. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the future of Platinum Games and what's up for them going with the Nintendo Switch 2 and how they can improve upon the successes that we saw with Astral Chain and with the Bayonetta franchise. Because when it comes down to it, you can talk about Nier on the Nintendo Switch, or you can talk about The Wonderful 101 or some of their other smaller titles, but these two games, these two franchises more like it, Bayonetta and Astral Chain, are their two biggest ones that they're going to want to move forward and get plans going for the next system. So we're going to talk about that and what we could see. But before we get into that, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get all the best Nintendo Switch RPG news and more. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to start off with Astral Chain and Astral Chain 2. What we do know, 100% facts here, Astral Chain is actually Platinum Games' best-selling title on the Nintendo Switch at this point. It sold over 1.3 million units, probably going towards 1.4 to 1.5 million, and for a brand new action game on the Nintendo Switch, that is incredibly good for Platinum Games, a developer that was struggling to sell even barely 1 million copies on the Nintendo Wii U, even with discounts. Now with Astral Chain, you get a game that has been very successful when it comes to the sales so far, has been very good when it comes to the reviews, an 87 average. I think it was kind of screwed out of a spot in the Game of the Year conversation when it came out back in 2019, but that's okay. Everyone knows how awesome this game is, and I think that Astral Chain, what it did, it really only has a few different things they can do to improve the formula when it comes to Astral Chain 2. Of course, you can add more new legions. That would be great. I think that the number of legions in the game would be dope. More functionality, more upgrading. That's awesome. But of course, improving the story as well. And I think that's the thing that they're going to focus on when it comes to Astral Chain 2. Now, one thing about the game is that Astral Chain, it is in 30 frames per second for an action game. Platinum Games usually rolls with 60 frames per second. But unfortunately, if you're trying to do what you're trying to do with the graphics and the gameplay with Astral Chain on the Nintendo Switch, that was going to be tough to do. So it was in 30, but it wasn't bad when it comes to how the game played, the input response. It was a very smooth playing game, and it felt good to play regardless of the frame rate being 30 frames, with some issues here and there. So getting all of that smoothed out for the Nintendo Switch 2 would be good. One thing that I would absolutely love to see, especially with the Nintendo Switch 2, is a patch for Astral Chain. Get that baby at 60 frames per second and give more people the opportunity to play the game. I think it's more about more people playing the game more so than anything else. Now, you can just have a backwards compatible version of the game, which I do think that the Nintendo Switch 2 will be backwards compatible, but if you update it, if you improve it, if you really do a couple things to touch it up, I think it can bring more people into playing the game that didn't really hear about it, or at just some point didn't play it on the Nintendo Switch, but they're really vibing with the Nintendo Switch 2, what it does, how it is, and want to try the franchise. So I really think they should do something there with the original Astral Chain in addition to Astral Chain 2. What I foresee happening would be them talking about, okay, we're bringing Astral Chain free update to Nintendo Switch 2, or if you want to buy the game, we're re-releasing the game as a Switch 2 title. So if you already have it, update it. If you want to buy it new, bam, you can buy it new right there. And then after they announce that, you have the big announcement for Astral Chain 2. They did something very similar to Bayonetta 1 and 2 on the Nintendo Switch at the Game Awards, where they announced Bayonetta 1 and 2, and then they went, oh, here we go, Bayonetta 3, which nobody expected Bayonetta 3 to be announced that early, and maybe it shouldn't have been announced that early, but I think they wanted to ensure fans that Bayonetta wasn't stopping and that they're going to make more Bayonetta. So I think that's the reason why that announcement came so early, because they said, hey, Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, now you got Bayonetta 3. But Astral Chain 2, I think, is going to be a thing. Now, obviously, we don't know exactly when that's going to happen. We do know that the game came out 2 years after Nintendo Switch was launched, so they were obviously working on it at the beginning of the Nintendo Switch, probably before that when it comes down to it. So I'm pretty sure that there are initial plans for Astral Chain 2. Now, in an interview, Takehisa Tura stated that they don't have any plans in terms of a trilogy, but he was, quote, thinking about various ways that it can be expanded into a trilogy or more. So there are ideas, there are things that's floated around, and this guy loves this game. The way that he marketed it, the way that Nintendo put it together, they really put it in position to sell really well. Because honestly, this is the type of thing that could break up people's ambition, right? A game like this launches and it doesn't have the most incredible story. Obviously, it's not 60 frames and people could just ignore it, but that's not what happened with Nintendo and Platinum on the case here. So I do feel that Astral Chain 2 is something that they've definitely talked about, and the initial plans, things are kind of getting going to get Astral Chain 2 and a Switch 2 version of Astral Chain up and going on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now let's go ahead and shift gears over to Bayonetta 3, the Bayonetta franchise, and Bayonetta 4, because I do think that these things are going to happen as well. Bayonetta 3 is a game, sales-wise, did very well, over 1 million units in that first month or so. The fans of Bayonetta went out there and snapped it up, and I love Bayonetta 3. I think that Bayonetta 3 did a lot of crazy things that the series has never tried before. The Demon Slave stuff was always relegated to the Wicked Weaves or quick time events, things like that, but they actually made it to where you can control them right then and there. You can actually go into an infernal demon and play as them on screen and switch between them. It was crazy what they were doing, and I think that did take a little bit of a hit on the performance of the game when it comes to how it ran and frame rate and all that, because just being able to activate those demons at any time and how big the monsters were, because if you have monsters or demons that big, you have to have other stuff that you fight against that are that big as well, and it kind of threw things out of a loop a bit compared to Bayonetta 2. So I think that with Bayonetta 4, they go a little bit more grounded. Now, for those that are wondering, how do you even know if there is going to be another Bayonetta game? Well, if you've beaten Bayonetta 3, which has one of the greatest endings for a Platinum Games title ever, I love the ending to that game, then you know that there's going to be a Bayonetta 4. But how they actually do it and what they do, that's up for interpretation. Now, I have an idea of what they're going to do for Bayonetta 4, considering how the game ended, but I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. So go out there and play Bayonetta 3 if you haven't done so already, and I highly recommend getting into the Bayonetta franchise. So if you haven't played Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, Bayonetta 3, go out there and play all of them. They're fantastic games, especially Bayonetta 2. I think Bayonetta 2 is a really, really good game, still one of the best games on the Nintendo Switch. We know that Bayonetta 3, even with some of its faults, still got an 86 average on Metacritic, so there's still a lot of love for the franchise. It's still very good. People resonate with the gameplay. It's a million-plus seller. There's so many different things that they can do to improve the formula for Bayonetta 4, but I think that the biggest thing that they need to do, and I know it's crazy because we've already had this, but get Bayonetta 3 over to Nintendo Switch 2 and kind of patch that up a bit, fix it up a bit more. They did do one big update, which did fix a lot of the stuff with Viola, which people complained about combat-wise, and did help out a little bit with some of the frame rate stuff, but it's still pretty much like it was before. Not the worst ever, but not really even. So if you can get that on the Nintendo Switch 2 and patch that out to be better, that would be really good, because if you look at Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2, they actually got those better running on the Nintendo Switch. Still not perfect 60, 100% of the time, but still better than what it was on the Wii U. So that would be nice if they can get the same thing done with some free updates, and of course Switch 2 versions, you can repackage them, you can have free updates if you already have the game. There's a variety of ways that Nintendo could get that done with the next generation tech. And of course with DLSS and what they're doing potentially with the Switch 2, you can make a lot of improvements for Bayonetta 4. I think that Bayonetta is one of those franchises where the art style is more important than the pure polygon and tech. Just have a great art style, have some nice detail here and there, and really focus on making sure that the gameplay is fluid, fast, and fun, and you're going to have a phenomenal title here. And I think that the Nintendo Switch 2 will be more than well enough, more than powerful enough to handle what they're going to do or what they want to do, considering what they accomplished on the Nintendo Switch and the rumors that are going around with the Switch 2. I think that this game, Bayonetta 4, whatever they decide to do next, can be a lot better in terms of performance and what they want to do there. So overall, I think that all of these games that Platinum Games does, they're always, I wouldn't say flawed gems, but they just have a few things here and there, and then at some point they perfect them with it. they perfect it, and then they kind of go back or they kind of do something a bit different. These two franchises between Bayonetta and Astral Chain have made Platinum Games a ton of money. We're looking at millions of copies sold across Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3. All of them million-plus sellers on the Nintendo Switch. Astral Chain, another million-plus seller on the Nintendo Switch. So there's a lot of money on the line here, and I think that Platinum Games and Nintendo have that type of relationship to where they can get efficient and good AAA style games done in a good amount of time, even for the Nintendo Switch 2. I think that efficiency and ease of development are going to be a priority for Nintendo. That was one of the things that was a priority for the Nintendo Switch itself, and I think that making the tools even better for the Nintendo Switch 2, kind of following up and making a successor to what you did, is the right move. And from what we've been hearing, that's going to be the case. So I'm excited to see exactly how it's all going to play out and what Platinum Games is going to do, but I'm a huge fan of them. Obviously, that's why I talk about Platinum Games a lot on the channel, and I think that both of these franchises have a huge future. Now, when it comes to new IPs or something different for Platinum Games, I still think that is a possibility. Every single new Nintendo system Nintendo's had for the last number of generations, Platinum Games has developed a brand new IP. We saw it with Mad World on the Wii. With the Wii U, it was the Wonderful 101, and with the Nintendo Switch, it's Astral Chain. So we still could get a brand new IP as well. So I see them doing a brand new IP in addition to Bayonetta 4 and Astral Chain 2, plus bringing over the other games as well. Backwards compatibility, standard, or even patching them to run better with Bayonetta 3 and Astral Chain. So what are your thoughts on this, guys, when it comes to what Platinum Games plans are or what they can do, the really big stuff for Platinum, the updates here? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell. We will see you for the next video. Peace.